for questions for any new competitors. But before we get started, I want to say thank you to Tyler, Silver Mountain, and Silver Mountain Waterpark. They've opened the door for all of us. It's going to be the first stop of the year. It's already going to be a banger. It's a lot of fun already. I mean, they've welcomed us here, and they've made my job easier so far. And then partner with him is Eric. Eric's one of our main sponsors in his company. Eric, you want to say anything? He's done a lot of work, so Eric, thank you again for putting it all together.
Thank you for coming.
He's a real advocate of flowboarding. I met Eric back in 2014, and he said we got to do this again. Here we are. This is the first event of the season, and we're going to do it right. And thank you guys for coming. So, one more time, round of applause for yourselves. Start over and go on the main screen. So again, basically this is, we're just going to open up the rule book a little bit, talk about it. The only real changes in the past, if you're a veteran of competing, is we've opened up the amateurs to test the pro ranks a little bit, so it doesn't affect your status. You can do 2 amateur divisions, and then you can also do pro divisions as long as you pay that flat entry rate. And then if you get 5th place, you can collect your money back and not have to compete in pro the rest of the year. But if you do accept prize money, we do expect you to compete in pro. But we do want to see people start entering those pro divisions, testing your skill limit, putting pressure on people like Brad or Nick Sanchez, Nick Wynn, because they need the pressure, and we want to see those divisions grow. And the good thing about that is this event specifically for this season, and especially being number 1, most of the people in this room are professional riders, and they are in the pro category, so that's good. We're going in the right direction. For those of you guys new, are there new competitors at the first event? Somewhat new. We got a couple in here. 3, 4, 5. Jeremy, yeah, you always back out. 6, 7. So cool. That's good. No, this event is not just about those pros. It's about you guys. It's about growing the local rider base here at Silver Mountain, getting more people on the wave, and just promoting the sport of flowboarding. Sanchez, can you just?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on, honestly. It's just going by itself.
Yeah.
Stop. I'm trying to control it. I'm trying to pause it.
I'll sit on my chair. I'll sit there.
Dude, go slideshow.
Oh yeah.
It's gotta be a setting. Custom slideshow, maybe?
Just click. Just click the.
Yeah, that's fine. That's all right.
Okay, so for the new riders in here, basically just talking about the contest format. You guys all know you've signed up for your specific divisions based on age, skill level, and gender. The way the contest works for the amateurs is you'll be split up into heats, no more than 5 people in a heat. Top 2 riders will move on. The way you move on from a heat is you get 3 runs at 30 seconds each. The judges are scoring on a variety of things, which we will touch on as well. But your top 2 scores will count. So drop 1 score being the lowest, combine the other 2, and then you'll get a place from that judge. And, well, 3 different judges. Each judge will give you a place. We'll add up those placings. The lowest placing advances. Does that make sense to everybody? The new riders, does it make sense? Top 2 scores out of your 3 count, and you move on. Go ahead and just go to the next one. The pro divisions are a little bit different. Leave it right there, Sanchez. The pro divisions are a little bit different. I'll talk to those guys based on their format, but we've kind of done a little bit of a man-on-man format to where we get the semis and finals to break down the riders, kind of critique their judging a little bit more. Makes it a little bit easier on us in the judging booth, not having to compare so many riders together at once with so many high skill sets. This right here, so you'll see this a lot tomorrow. 3 judges sitting there at the front of the wave waiting for you. But a lot of times they'll end up waiting for us because we'll be scoring people. Sometimes it'll take longer than another to drop. But you'll notice we have a big clock up there. If it's set at 0, do not drop in yet. But if it's set at 30 or 40 seconds before your run, that means we're ready and you're cleared to start. You'll also see a thumbs up from one of the judges saying we're welcoming you in. The time clock will start once your full board hits the water. So that being said, in terms of unique entries, whether it's off the wall, finger flips, whether you're just dropping it from the front, off the lip, the side, it doesn't make much of a difference. Some judges will take note of it. Judging is very subjective, so people look for a little bit different things, but the basics are the same. But in terms of creative entry, it's just a little star. The star. It might separate you at the end, but you're not being penalized whether you're dropping in from the bottom or the top. Again, 3 runs, 30 to 40 seconds each. Top 2 scores will count. This is the judging scale. It's 1 to 10. We will use decimal points at times to break up different riders and their scoring runs. As you can see here, we kind of operate on the pro scale. So if you come back and take a look at your judging sheets and you notice, you have a 2 or a 3 or even, a 1 or 2, that's off the pro. That's off the top riding. So don't be discouraged by that in yourself. We're all working to be in the excellent range or get a good score. Flowboarding is a very humbling sport. It's super hard, and it's intimidating to a lot of people. So everybody that gets on that wave to begin with, who competes, who signs up, rides, and is an advocate and is passionate about flowboarding, in my heart, you guys are already a winner. I mean, that sounds corny as all, but it really is true, because nobody else competes. I mean, there's only 40 people in this room. We want to get to hundreds of people competing at one time, and that starts with you guys. So don't be discouraged by any of your scores. Ask questions. We're all working to get better. Again, with the scoring process, it's on the 1 to 10 scale. Your top 2 scores will count, so the best you can get is a 20 from each judge, and then the rider with the lowest combination from the judges will move on in terms of your placing. So if you can see this here, judging criteria, again, it's a little bit subjective for everybody, but the basics of what we're looking for is commitment and degree of difficulty, innovative and progressive maneuvers, combination of major maneuvers, variety of maneuvers, speed, power, and flow. That's the overall glimpse of it, but we're going to break it down a little bit more. These 3 topics right here: execution, trick difficulty, and variety of overall impression. This is what the judges are really honing in on and focusing in on. And then we're going to break these down as well. So, execution, go ahead, Sanchez. This is how well you're executing the trick overall. We have 3 different types of falters, we call them. We have a minor falter, a major falter, and a wipeout. Starting with the minor falter, that's the smallest level of subtraction of points. Go back up, Nick. And that's up to negative 0.5. And what that is basically a hand check or a little toe check, something that does not really affect the momentum of the rider, but it's just you see the water splash. It's a little bit of assistance. Stay there, Sanchez. Does everybody understand, or do you want to see a video clip of the minor falter? But do you have a good idea what it is? You want to see a video? Click that.
I want to see what video it is.
I want to
FlowRider fails. Yeah, he does.
Oh man.
Let's open this hyperlink thing.
You have to have it
In slideshow.
in slideshow.
Oh, really? Here, you put it in slideshow.
Wow. Nice one, TK.
This is gonna be a lot more difficult. Keep clicking. But one more. There you go. Okay, so hopefully will this video work?
It's not even showing right here.
Just let it go.
Yeah.
Just get back to the TV.
Yeah.
So a minor falter is basically a quick hand check or a quick foot off the board. I like to compare these falters to kind of skateboarding. So if you're riding a skateboard and you're doing a trick and you land with one foot on the ground and your foot's completely on, you're not landing the trick. You want to land with both feet on the board. Make sense to everybody?
I don't know what's going on here. I'm just gonna close it here.
3 more people are walking in.
Okay, well Sanchez does that. I'm just going to read off of here.
Alright, it's back. So gotta go back to the right slide.
Hey Adam,
Yes, sir.
are the sketchy like land a trick right out 1 foot like that? Are those minor or majors?
Like if you land on the
Yeah,
board,
you
you're
know,
balancing.
when people
it's a
like
balancing
land
act.
and then they like, catch an edge.
Yeah,
Like, ah.
it's kind of a minor. Again, it's a little bit subjective for the judges, kind of how fast you react, how controlled it is. But most likely it's going to be noted as a minor, especially in the pro divisions. That's a good question. So if anybody has any questions, throw them out. Especially the new competitors. I know I'm kind of speeding through this because we have a lot of pros in here.
So
But
when you're judging, are you doing having one judge do each of those three? You said
no,
each three things?
no, they're looking at all three of
All
them,
three of them
and it's a
together.
1 to 10 scale, and they're looking at all three. So each run is scored individually by each judge. So moving on to a major falter, this is coming to kind of like a double hand check or a butt check. So instead of just that one hand down, now we're looking at 2 hands on the mat. So if you do a kickflip and you land both your hands down, they're touching the mat, we're going to count that as a major falter. Or you'll see a lot of butt checking, kind of where you fall back and kind of spring yourself up off the mat and stand back up. That's a butt check. And as you can see here, that's up to a negative 1.5. You might get negative 1, negative 1.5. Again, it's a little bit subjective to each judge and how they feel in terms of your control and execution of the trick. Third and finally, there's a full wipeout. This is losing complete control of your board and exiting the wave. And what we determine the wave is that stream of water. So once you're in, you're kind of in there. You're locked in. So these videos aren't working. Go back up. And that's up to negative 2.5. In the pro division, if you wipe out, it's really going to hurt your score. I mean, I know Brad knows it, Jake knows it, some of you guys are getting into it. If you fall and wipe out in pro division, we're looking at, it's going on that scale. You're under the 8-point range. So just really keep that in mind. Something we will be looking for in terms of that score and setting yourself apart is first and last tricks. So entering the wave and kind of starting with your big bangers, we're gonna look at that degree of difficulty as higher, kind of risk and reward thing. Does that make sense to you in terms of dropping in, going? Because I mean, if in terms of that, going for a banger in the first 10 seconds, if you wipe out, your score is hurting. So if you go and you complete that banger in the first 10 seconds, that's gonna help your score. Make sense, Jake, Taylor,
Overall ride.
DK? Yeah, for the overall impression, that's gonna definitely set you apart from other riders.
So if you're like impressed with someone.
I'm gonna pass this around, so you can get a kind of good, better look. This is basically like a little science fair project for judges. I'm serious, and it kind of shows you what they're operating on and what their score sheets are gonna look like. Something that's very important. After your heat, after your run, after results are announced, again, like I said, don't be discouraged by the results. Come up, ask to see your score sheets. You can take a look at how you were scored, what your scores were. You can kind of compare to this little science fair thing and see how the judges felt about what they thought was a major and minor falter and kind of what tricks and their overall impression. So I'm just gonna pass that around, take a look at it. If you have any questions, just throw a hand up. Keep going. Okay, so now breaking down difficulty of tricks. Obviously, part of the tricks list that's on there, it shows different tricks from basic to advanced. Next thing for difficulty is the amplitude. The higher you get, obviously, the more credit we're going to give you compared to lower. Exactly. You see, she's right though. She's nudging Jordan because everything Jordan does is over my head, and judges definitely take notice of that. So if you do an ollie that's this high compared to an ollie that's this high, it's going to set you apart from a different competitor. So judges are looking for that. And some of the ways you'll see that on the judging score sheet is either an upward arrow next to the trick that they're identifying, or the size that they write it in. So if it's a smaller kickflip, you'll see little letters. If you see bigger kickflips, you'll see larger letters.
Crosswave.
Yeah, there's more.
Click to add.
Yeah, like 100. Still staying with difficulty.
Adam.
Positioning on the wave.
Crosswave too.
Positioning on the wave is important. This is something that I am definitely an advocate of. I promote this. I want to see people use the full wave, whether it's the rail, the mats, the side. PK gets a little bit too creative for my taste in terms of leaving the wave and coming back, just for a competition wise. But we do like to see people use the flats, off the rail, the surfaces. We want to see you get creative. If you're doing most of your tricks kind of in one spot or on one jet or in one area of the wave, Brad used to do it a lot, and he used to hurt his scores, and he'd always yell at me, and I would always tell him, but he's gotten better. So yeah, try to move around, try not to, try to keep that speed, power, and flow going, don't just be in one area of the wave. Back to the difficulty. that timing thing, doing your first and last tricks. If they're big, we want to see that you have kind of control of the clock, control of your ride, a little bit of a premeditated run. Right here, number 26.
Just like creating songs.
So we're looking, is the rider going to go big early? Are they going late? Are they cruising around the wave? Are they, not doing much? So we want to see a perfect run in that 30 or 40 seconds, which is nearly impossible to do. Again, it's very humbling. We're looking for perfection, and flowboarding is basically impossible to perfect. But when we have judges out there, that's what we're looking for. So again, don't be discouraged by your scores. Moving on to, anybody have any question about the difficulty of tricks, or everybody got it basically? The tray flip is a high level trick.
Sweet. It's really all comparative against other flip tricks. So in order to rank a tray flip, you'd have to compare it to a burial heel flip, burial flip. It's all comparative.
Yeah, it's not a point system. You don't like do a tray flip and then
Right, you
4
don't
points.
get,
Yeah,
exactly.
It's one person will ride, and then the next person will be judged off the first person's score, and vice versa.
It's all relative to what's going on in that heat,
So like
and who you're riding against. But
Okay.
so if you were to put a varial heel flip and a tray flip up, one person is going to tell you that's a harder trick than this trick. But to Jake, a varial heel flip is easier than a tray flip is, to Brad. Brad can do a tray flip eyes closed, he can do a varial heel flip eyes closed. But if you switch it around, they're going to have trouble with it. Everybody's different. So they're basically on the same level. But again, it kind of goes. You said bring it on, dude. So I'm
Oh no! I was talking to TK.
So basically, it's all relative to what's going on in the heat and in between riders. But that's a good question. So variety, overall impression. Again, this is very subjective. Everybody's a little bit different. I might like more of a surf style. Somebody else might like more of a skate style. But again, we're looking for one overall package of a run and trying to be perfect within that time frame. So variety, overall impression. Are you switching up the tricks a little bit, or are you going out there doing the same run over? I'll use Brad as another example. I used to be able to tell you his first run before he went out there. I could write him down, eyes closed, and Andy could announce him standing with his back to him, and we could just score it right away. So, basically, we don't even watch Brad when he rides anymore, which is not a good thing. You want to keep the judges engaged. You want to surprise them. And again, if you're going big early, we're going to reward you for that. We don't want to see anybody hold back. Variety of tricks. Don't go out there and do 3 ollies in a row. If you have more tricks, we want to see you do those tricks. If those are the only tricks you got and those are the best tricks you got, yes, keep doing those. But if you have more, and again, it's subjective to who's in the heat, who you're competing against, you might have to do bigger and better tricks, or at least attempt them. But do what you're comfortable with. Just try to throw a mix of everything in there. And then finally, are they being progressive and innovative? Are they doing something that nobody else has? Example of this, Jake messaged me the other night, showing me the kind of the varial flip rewind or something, or the Casper flip rewind. Hospital flip. He's asking me, how would this score, etc. I mean, again, it's a little subjective. It's not exactly what we're looking for, but if he nails that on the buzzer, or steps at the beginning of that with the heat, that's going to grab somebody's attention, saying, "Oh wow, nobody else is doing that trick. That's innovative. That's progressive, and it's very technical and difficult as well." So we will reward that as well. Another big thing is combination of tricks and kind of linking things together. The speed, power, and flow that we mentioned. Try to link your tricks together. Try to keep moving. Don't stop. Don't do one trick, stop, go somewhere, set up. Try to keep it all moving. You will notice this on the judging sheets with arrows or squiggly lines, just noting that you combo things up. Judges will take note of that and give you a little bit of extra brownie points in there. And again, it just ups your trick count. There's more tricks in that 34 second time frame. Same with variety and overall impression. We're looking for comfortability on the wave. Again, for the beginners, don't stress it as much. This is more about fun and learning and promoting the sport. But for the pros, we want, if Jake was talking about it earlier, if you landed one flip and you're all wobbling, like kind of flinging your arms around, judges are going to take note. You might get up to a minor falter for it. But it will be separation between if somebody lands that trick clean versus you being all over the wave.
CJ.
scoring process, some of the stuff that we mostly talked about. But riders will go back and compare your run to another run, or another run that you had in the beginning of the heat, whether it's your first or second run. Here's the kind of checklist of what can go through their heads. You'll also see it on that divider over there. But it's talking about the variety, it's talking about the position on the wave, it's talking about the trick count, the difficulty, and again that variety of overall impression.
I get